there is a higher consciousness that we have access to that is also here to help us.
Which we
And
are.
we
We
have
are.
to, we have to take our machete and kind of cut our way through the jungle of information and misinformation and try to figure out what resonates and what fits and, what to cast aside because the lies are there.
Mm.
We have more lies than anything else. And they, like I said earlier, they don't always come from the bad guys. I mean, the good guys aren't telling us everything either, so we don't know the whole picture. Because if we know the whole picture, for darn sure the bad guys know the whole picture. So we don't even get exactly what's up with that.
Yeah.
No.
Um, but there's there's something much bigger than we are going on. And, in answer to the question of why did I come down here? This is really too hard. It's like I know why I came down here. It's because what happens here on Earth now will affect the future of the universe. And if these dark entities were allowed to get away with what they had planned, that ain't going to be no fun place for nobody anywhere.
Mm.
And, that same type of vampiric energy harvesting energy would just keep on going. So Earth is probably the most watched place because of what's happening now and from the level of consciousness that we've been at for however long to going to another level, which my understanding is like the consciousness of the heart, which is our true center, not
Yeah.
not our brain, but our heart. And get out of our brains are polarized anyway with the right brain and the left brain. And the heart doesn't have that. And so, we get in our heads, we overthink, we doubt, we second guess, we we can stay in our heart. And I'm not saying I'm great at that. I'm not. But I understand it intellectually
Mm.
that this is our true center. So when you talk about the fall of man and the fall of consciousness, you're, basically going from your heart to your brain.
Mm.
And then they've used that against us by setting us out as separate and, the whole ego mind and having to know and or having to be right or whatever it is. You know,
Mm.
there's big spiritual lessons still to be learned,
Yeah.
but it can happen in an environment that supports that, which the current environment doesn't really support that.
Mm. Yeah. We've just got to ignore the division because it's all basically division,
Yeah.
isn't it? That's what they really want to do. Keep us apart, stop us talking, stop us creating. So if the rule of thumb is anything that divides is the agenda, that's kind of a good place to start, right? Ignore anything is causes division. That's the agenda.
I mean, it's the gift, isn't it?
It's
It's
not
the
us.
it's our gift. It's the gift of this experience. That is why I believe we're all here. It's the spiritual evolution that we're all undergoing. Because I've said it to Campbell so many times, like we cannot evolve with prejudism in our hearts. Like it's
No.
the prejudism that it like if I can fine tune the vibrational emotion that has trapped us the most and fucked us the most, it's prejudism.
Yeah.
And not just to fucking races, but to like every single thing. Like we are highly prejudiced culture and society now on
Yeah.
every fucking topic. And that is the most lowest form of evolution, I believe.
But yeah, that's the thing. Prejudism, like the base line of prejudism is we're not all connected, isn't it? We're all separate. I'm better than you, we're different, right? God is not in us. We're not part of it, of the God, the creative spirit. It's outside of us, so but yeah, I mean, I think I agree. We're going somewhere better. I think that the signs are all around us. There's big changes coming, and I think we're going into a positive charge, is one way to put it. And that means that, you know, those in charge will be the positive ones, right? At the moment, those in charge are the negative ones because it's a negative charge. So we'll become the ones in charge, and ultimately we won't need leaders to look up to and all this kind of stuff because we'll realize that's us. And we're already here, right? It's like they say, we're the ones we've been waiting for.
Yeah. It's really, like the evolution of our consciousness.
Mm.
And early on in my journey, I learned about concepts like that. And
I mean, we're graduating, right?
there's
We're graduating, we're in the graduating year. It's muck up week, so everything's gone crazy. But at the end, we won't get those square hats on our heads, but we will we will graduate, right? Maybe we'll get the
right,
360 degrees of the Moorish Masons, right?
right, right. And that's what it was. They had 360 degrees, the circle.
Yep, the circle.
And the Freemasons had 33 as their highest. And you
Yep.
think about it, 32, or at least in the Fahrenheit system, 32 is frozen. So like 0 Celsius. But
Interesting. Yeah, right.
in Fahrenheit, 32 is the freezing
Mm.
degree.
Yep.
So
And
they got frozen.
when you go to university and pay 100 grand, you only get 1 degree. You only get the first degree. So don't do that, people. Think for yourself. All right. Well, while
Yeah,
we're waiting for Miss Kelly to come back and say goodbye, um, yeah, is there anything else you want to add?
there is, and it left my head. It's talking about that
There is,
brain.
but I don't know what it
Yeah,
is.
it's like my
Too
retention for
much.
other things isn't that long. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I just really want to encourage people, you know, I see miracles every day. I think we all have miracles every day. That's what synchronicities are. It's like, how in the heck did this just happen when something comes from out of the blue that connects with maybe something I'm thinking about or doing or a connection I need for information or whatever. I mean, it's not planned. It's just like there.
Mm.
Those are little miracles.
Yes, and it's not
And
always your
and the reason
phone,
they've
like
done it,
it's not always your phone spying on you. A lot of time it's a miracle.
but the bottom line is they can't do what they did. They had to trick us.
Yep.
Yeah.
And and they can't. We're sovereign beings. That's why they've gone to all this trouble. That's why they just can't come in and destroy everything.
Yeah.
But like my
I mean,
question is always like, why? Why bother? Like, what is it that's so,
They're
like,
they're
why bother
soulless
doing
and
all of
parasitic,
this?
man. They're not us. They're
But
we're very humanity is very special.
do you
So
think that
by
they
knocking us to our lowest level of consciousness, not knowing that we're a fractal of the creator,
mm,
if they can control us, they're controlling the creator.
they can control more. Yeah, yeah, good
but
point.
you do believe, sorry, God.
No, I was just going to say the biggest victims of the genocide of the controllers were the original people.
Oh, totally.
They
Yeah.
got kicked back the furthest. They got genocided the most. They got the baddest rap. Even though they've been doing the same thing to all of us, they have particular viciousness for the original people. They don't want advanced humans. They want
No.
controllable slaves.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, which is then yeah, the whole Android robot thing that's going on at the
But that
moment. That's a
means,
whole nother discussion, right?
mhm,
And I guess time that experience of time, it may be and probably is remarkably different from our experience of time. So what appears to be that they've been working on this diabolical plan and plot for like hundreds of years, from their perspective, it may be a very short, like they may be out of time. They may not even have a concept of time. Which,
Mm,
because I always think, God, it takes so long for you to manipulate this whole thing. So much. Like it's such a big, long, slow play out. And what's the
yeah,
benefit
yeah.
at the end of it? What do you get at the end of all of this? Like, and if you exist independently of this hijacking, then why bother? There must be many more convenient pathways to
Mm,
like devour a civilization and culture in the way, because that's where I get confused. I think it's not like they're coming in and devouring it like we see in all the movies. You've got these invasions that come in and then in a week the world's gone. In a week it's
yeah, but
devoured and destroyed. Like it's the same
it's
end
because
result.
it's the consent. They
right.
need to do that's consent. They can't, this is the thing, and they're just It's like, why does a leech jump on your leg and suck your blood out? Because that's what it is. It's just a leech, right? And that's what these parasites are. They're just parasitic.
But didn't we give consent like back in the fucking 40s and 30s? Like
Well, we weren't
wasn't
alive back then.
but our parents or our non whatever the time frame is, the consent would have
It's
happened much
it
easier back
consent.
then.
It's like I calls it like the totalitarian tiptoe, right? They have to do it incrementally and
Oh, it just
slowly
seems
change. So that's why in the 60s started bringing in like mini skirts and the bikinis, to start, and then it was like the rebel and get kids to, not like their parents to be out on their own, and then
rock
fast
and
forward to
roll, bring in rock and
2025,
roll.
right? And they're educating our kids at university and telling them that they're different genders and just go out
It
and,
just it
like
seems so
get as
long
many people
though.
as you can. It's an incremental thing. And to them, it could be different, right? Because they do worship Saturn, right? The time, Chronos.
Mm.
Yeah, I
So,
just what is the purpose of the log play here? Just to enslave us as programmed bots? Like, what is the purpose? They don't even like the Earth. It's not
so
like
I think, they were pushing us towards transhumanism.
just so they
And
could live
if
through us, so they could transfer
so
their
they could live
conscious.
through us,
Yeah.
so they could hack the human and transfer consciousness into a cyborg, because in effect they're destroying the host.
Mm,
They're destroying their host as a parasite. So why don't, like you said, don't they even know that they're destroying their host? But I think that's why they were so set on creating artificial everything, artificial reality, virtual reality,
mm.
get people into the mindset of, watching
Anti-creation.
television and then the games and the video games, and all of a sudden you're living in this fake world.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah, man. That's a world for your
and so I
mind,
think that's what they've been, they were trying to get our energy, and so they could live forever, because
So
without us they're nothing.
Yeah.
would then you theorize that they're all from a non-physical form? So that's where we would go back to this concept of artificial intelligence, advanced intelligence. Like it just you have to create the interface to you like the jinn, the demons, they're always put in that fourth dimensional, electrical field. Like they don't exist in physical form until it's like it's imagined or brought forth like someone like Aleister Crowley. Like how physical was the experience he had with these entities? For them to have to work so hard, it seems that they have to work so hard to basically occupy a human form. Like it would appear to me there would be much easier ways to do this, especially at this level of ignorance that the human race is now in. Then
Mm.
this very slow play out with the transformation of the grid and the destruction of, like, it seems like such
Well,
an
it,
archaic way of doing it.
whoever they or it is, it's not very intelligent. It has no creativity. It
All
just has
right,
the same
yes.
We're their
plan over and over,
creativity.
right?
They need human creativity.
Yeah,
But
Yeah,
exactly.
and maybe, I mean, again, this has been a long-term plan, so
but
maybe this
why?
was the best they could come up with.
Because it's a
Why?
parasite. Where it's food,
All
basic.
right. So you're saying its whole creation myth is to conquer and overtake. It's that's its
To subdue
creation myth.
us. And they've already got a lot of people like worshipping these entities outside of them, which is what these parasites are. That's what they want because that gives them, loose energy, as we call it. Like they're
I
energetic
think that's what they've been playing
vampires.
for.
Mm,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what they've been playing for. Um, but again, I don't believe they're going to get away with it. And again, maybe it's
they're
the best that
done.
they could come up with. It's like, okay, we're going
No.
to infiltrate
Yeah,
Masonry and we're going to take credit for all this stuff. I think the Jesuits were highly involved with the rewrite of history and things like that.
for sure.
Along with
Josephus.
the probably the Freemasons and
Yeah,
other secret societies. And but the thing now, the big difference now, it's like we're at that tipping point because we can see it.
we can see it, man. It's the apocalypse, a great
Those,
unveiling.
I mean, it does still feel to me that they would have always known that there was a counter that there would be a natural organic
Well,
counteractive move from the awakening human consciousness that would bring down the entire plan. They must have already known this. So it still feels to me so like clumsy the way they've had to go about it. Like it feels so clumsy, And then what's
It's,
the outcome of all that?
I just think
Like,
it's because they're stupid and pathetic and they're a
so
bunch
maybe
of
that,
losers.
well, it's like, I mean, I like your analogy of the leech. It's like a leech trying to take
Hmm.
over a whole population. From the perspective of where we
Yeah,
stand, a
it's
leech is
like
this small and
hmm.
easily plucked off and stepped on.
Yeah, it's like the scorpion and the frog, right? The frog
Well,
gives the
even in the
scorpion the lift across the water, and then the scorpion stings him and kills him. He says, "Why did you do that?" He said, "It's in my nature. It's just what I am."
All right. Well, that's a nice. All right, Campbell. That's very nice. You've summed it
Very
up very
Zen Buddhist of
nicely.
me, right?
Very
Yes.
zen. I mean, I can take that. That's a nice consideration. Like it's just their nature. That's easy
Hmm.
and simple. The truth is usually the most simple. It's just their
Sherlock Holmes,
nature.
man. Yeah.
Yep. And from their perspective, it's been like an intricate play out to basically hijack
Hmm.
a very highly conscious God being,
Yeah.
which is us,
And
right?
they failed big time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, so you would just on this just before we end, the
Yes.
crop circles and the monoliths are coming in to this realm not via us. So yes, would you concur with that? Or is it our yes, so yes, they're coming in from like the cheer squad, the support team,
The cheese
the
squad.
like yeah, the cheer squad. The cheer squad that is also connected to in for some reason into this thing that's happening here on this realm right now. Do you
Hmm.
think that what's happening here on this realm is impacting all realms? Do you because you heard that story, right? That what's happening here on Earth is like
Hmm.
it's so important because it's going to impact timelines and reality for all sorts of dimensions and
Hmm.
vibrations and realities. What do you think about that? Like, is Earth some like heart of all of this? Like, is it some what happens here
Well,
is
yeah, you answer, Michelle.
I was going to say that resonates perfectly. I
Hmm.
mean,
mm,
even when you get into the flat Earth plane planet thing, and I'm there with flat Earth. I mean, that's a result of my research. I didn't have an opinion. I think the Earth is the center of the universe,
Hmm.
and
okay. All
and
right.
everything is going around us,
Well, that would make
and
sense.
and that Earth was like the physical manifestation of the Creator, the Garden of Eden, and so this was
Mm.
a life, development of life, and I think the original civilization had fun. I think it was set up for that. The trolley parks um, that got destroyed with everything else.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that was part of the grid system. I think they're having a blast until
The
evil,
airship.
evil decided to come in and just decided to come in and crash the party.
Crash the party,
And
man.
Because they're
Yeah.
not the
and so
fun
like
guys. They're not the fun
they're not
guys.
fun. So I think Earth was like Grand Central Station, and all of the healing frequencies from the organs and the
Okay,
the the solfeggio, the
that
cathedral
makes
windows we
sense.
saw at the New World
It all
Concert,
radiates out.
artwork,
Mm.
um, bell towers. I think those were all not only going out through the grid, I think they were going out everywhere else
Upwards,
as well.
outwards.
All right,
Mm.
well that
And
makes
then
sense. That makes sense to me.
Fractals.
That would justify all of this like carry on from them. That would justify
Mm.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And if it's all a fractal, then just getting into one of those pieces, which happens to be us, they get access to everything.
And then here we are, the old guards.
We are, man.
Flock down in abundance to
We're the last defense here
the
to take
last
them down.
defenders. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
man.
And
Defenders of
because
the
it's a war
realm.
on consciousness, it's a war on consciousness. So this isn't a physical go be a warrior and go to war like usual in the timeline. This is a war of the
But
mind.
that's their timeline, right? They want to think us to think it's about the physical, but it's not, because that's just the illusion, right?
Mm,
they've been working so hard on mind control. Like you said, they control our minds. They
so
got it.
hard.
Mm-hmm.
So hard. Which would then
Yes.
I'm going back to the original question, which is then I would from this conversation maybe start to like theorize that the Mandela effect is a result of us. coming in up against this energy. If you've got a population, a fraction of a population that's like fractured off, like created, we're almost like a fractal. We've fractured off from this hijacking, and our consciousness is just like untouchable on that level. Like,
Yeah.
there's no fucking way that any of this could be like, I couldn't be convinced by anything they had to say or any trick they had to play or pull. Like, we've broken through that for the most part. I mean, there's always stuff, but for the
No.
most part. And that would
Win.
cause a real rift, right? A real rift in the grid, would it not? If you've got a consciousness like ours that are like thriving and seeing through all of this and, like shining the light in the dark. So that's what we're essentially doing. We're shining the light into this deception and, exposing it. And that would in fact like weaken its power and literally its power. So then our consciousness is generating a power, a literal power. And the two now are up against each other, creating really weird shit.
Mm.
I can go with that, Kelly. I had a couple of other thoughts, but that's
Yes.
a good summary.
But yes.